In terms of smoking, the research is much clearer there. We know that exposure to tobacco use in the media does in fact increase the likelihood of certain kinds of smoking-related outcomes. Increases sort of positive attitudes towards viewing smoking, increases the likelihood of a child or adolescent becoming a smoker. We also know, of course, there's a lot of product placement in TV shows and films, but there's almost no research on the internet or video games in terms of smoking kinds of issues. Alcohol research strongly suggests a positive and causal association here as well. And some of the conclusions that I'm drawing today are a little bit different than what's in what we wrote, mainly because there's some studies came out in late 2007 and 2008 that strengthened the case for some of these risk factors. One of the outcomes is people become alcohol consumers at a younger age. Again, in terms of advertising effects, product placement, we know that we see a lot of this in television shows and in films. But again, there's almost no research on the internet, on music effects, or on video game effects. Early initiation of sexual activity, there are actually very, very few studies. I was kind of surprised at how few there are. The studies that do exist suggest an association between exposure to sexualized media and early initiation of sexual activity. But there's really insufficient research to establish a causal link. I also wanted to spend just a couple of minutes on other dangers that are starting to pop up in a few isolated places, things that one probably should be concerned about. We're finding in a number of studies, we found it with children, high school students, and college students, associations between amount of time spent using electronic media and school performance, and not surprisingly, high users tend to perform more poorly in school. The causality of that, again, these are things where really there's very little research, but what research is suggestive. There's some indication that high exposure, especially at a very early age, below the age of 3, may actually lead to attention deficit disorders of one kind or another. And we're finding some similar effects actually at the college student level. Executive control problems, which is also related